やがったな、ミッチェル。だったらこっちも俺たちの味とくと味わえ。
味わう?
Hey everyone, it's Mark. This is my recap for Pokémon Horizons episode 19, The Truth About Alcremie. This was the 1251st episode of the Pokémon anime and the first episode of Pokémon Horizons to take place in Galar. Let's get straight into it. The usual Liko recap is about how their search for Liko's grandmother has led them to Galar, and sure enough, that's exactly where they are, with the brave Asagi about to arrive just outside of Motostoke, a location we never explored in Journeys. Fried and Murdoch come outside to talk to the kids, as well as give them some of Murdoch's special whipped coffee, which uses Alcremie's cream to offset the bitter coffee taste. Even Dot is enjoying it, spending some time outside while airing out her Nidothing costume. Fried reminds everyone that they're going to be traveling by land once they reach Motostoke. Well, he thinks this is just a reminder, but in classic Fried fashion, he completely forgot to mention this to anyone. Classic Fried. He explains that it's too risky for them to travel by air, since it would be easier for the explorers to track them down and find Liko's grandmother. Once they land, he says they're going to take the train from Motostoke to Hammerlock, but the train is out of service today, so I guess that puts their plans on hold. Orla doesn't waste any time butting into the conversation, claiming that they have a free day in Galar to do whatever they want, and so she jets off to Motostoke in order to do some shopping. Fried gives the kids permission to do whatever they want as well, and we hear Liko's internal dialogue, which is filled with a bit of self-doubt, as we've come to expect. This was a very small moment, but a relatable one for me. I also get unsure and anxious when it comes to visiting unfamiliar territory. Murdoch jumps in and suggests Liko and Roy go shopping with him, and Roy says he wants to go ask people if they've seen Rayquaza, which causes Dot to chime in remotely and points them towards the Battle Cafe. She makes up some excuse about how Roy can go ask people about Rayquaza there, but in reality she just wants them to go get this Slurpuff cotton candy. Apparently she wants to use it for a video, and yeah, Liko is hooked. She's a big fan of the idea of Nidothing and cotton candy. Our trio for the day sets off, and they give us the random storyline reason for why Rockruff isn't with Murdoch. I guess today he had an appointment for Molly's special brushing time. Yeah, okay. Cue the slideshow of them having fun all around Motostoke. Murdoch gets his shopping done while Roy asks strangers about Rayquaza. Once they all regroup, Roy says that no one here knows about Rayquaza, but they suggested he ask Kabu, the local gym leader, since he's originally from the Hoenn region. I never knew Kabu was from Hoenn. I mean, I probably did read it on his league card when I first played through Shield, but my brain just never retained that information. I'm too busy thinking about Nidothing eating cotton candy and other important stuff like that. Regardless, Murdoch announces they'll visit the gym once they're done at the Battle Cafe, which is where they head next. The cotton candy they're looking for doesn't seem to be on the menu though, but oh, would you look at that, there's a battlefield in the middle of the cafe, and they see this guy's Vanillite get KO'd. Murdoch seems to recognize this random trainer, and it turns out this guy's name is Mitchell, and he awards some of that Slurpuff cotton candy to those who defeat him. Murdoch gets so flustered seeing Mitchell that he can barely even listen to Liko and Roy, and things only get worse when Mitchell walks up and starts acting all condescending towards Murdoch. It's pretty obvious that these two know each other, and I guess Murdoch's Alcremie knows Mitchell too, as it tries to say hello and even offers Mitchell some of its cream, but Mitchell brushes it off and walks away. Unbelievable! How dare you make poor little Alcremie sad? This disgusting villain starts talking to Murdoch, asking what he's doing here and telling Murdoch that he won't battle him before Mitchell walks away. Wow, what's the beef between these two? Well, Murdoch tells Liko and Roy that he and Mitchell used to work together as patissiers, which is way too fancy of a term for my liking, so I'm just gonna call them pastry chefs or bakers. Anyways, Murdoch dramatically says that he and Mitchell used to be friends, but now he wants nothing to do with Mitchell. Liko and Roy have a crazy over-the-top reaction to this, but honestly, I just can't get over how that evil Mitchell made cute little Alcremie all sad. Liko asks what happened between him and Mitchell, and Murdoch starts explaining their backstory, going all the way back to when Alcremie was still just a milcery, and the two of them worked together at a sweet shop, and whoa, hold on. Check out this adorable interaction going on in the background. Don't think a precious mime junior is going to appear on screen without me acknowledging its cuteness. Okay, so back to the story, and apparently milcery used to help Murdoch and Mitchell with their sweets. Murdoch's signature dishes always had a ruby flavor, while Mitchell preferred matcha, and there was a rather conspicuous amount of matcha talk in this episode when you consider that they just revealed Poltergeist a few days ago. Very suspicious. That aside, Mitchell and Murdoch were happy together, and they really enjoyed working together alongside Milcery. Then one day, Milcery picked up one of Murdoch's strawberry sweets, began spinning counterclockwise, and since this was during the day and lasted for more than 5 seconds, Milcery started evolving. For some additional context, Alcremie has 9 flavor forms and 7 different sweets that can trigger its evolution, and the specific formula Murdoch's Alcremie just followed made it evolve into a strawberry ruby swirl Alcremie. While Murdoch is over the moon about this, Mitchell is not. In order to get a matcha cream Alcremie, which would have fit Mitchell's taste, Milcery needed to spin clockwise for less than 5 seconds at night. But since that didn't happen, Murdoch got the perfect Alcremie for him, and Mitchell started to resent the two of them because of this. This all boiled over one night when Alcremie tried offering Mitchell a snack, but Mitchell didn't want it. In fact, he slapped it out of Alcremie's hand, hurting it and making it cry. Mitchell, you heartless son of a bitch! Okay, well, moving on, this vile piece of human trash says that he can't make sweets with Murdoch anymore, and now everything is falling apart. Murdoch has seen and heard enough. He and Alcremie leave this waste of oxygen alone and walk out of the shop, never to return. The aspect ratio returns to normal now that Murdoch has finished his story, and we get to hear Liko's perspective as she thinks to herself about how even someone as kind and caring as Murdoch struggles with these types of things. She never knew. Liko also didn't know that Mitchell was standing around the corner listening to them this whole time, but he runs away when the two of them lock eyes. Then Liko steps up and tells Murdoch that they should go ask Mitchell for a battle, and I loved how Roy was like, oh yeah, Liko's got a plan, here we go. Liko issues the challenge of her and Murdoch versus Mitchell in a double battle, and Mitchell accepts, with he and Murdoch clearly having no love lost for one another. Cut to the battlefield, and it's going to be Sprigatito and Alcremie going up against Mitchell's Slurpuff and Appleton. Skipping ahead a little bit, the battle starts to heat up once Murdoch has Alcremie use Decorate on Sprigatito, and not only does this sharply raise both the attack and special attack of Sprigatito, but it also makes it look like it's got a creamy Terra Crystal on its head, and since I couldn't think of anything better for a title for this video, I'm stealing Roy's idea. Now then, since Sprigatito is supercharged, it heads straight for Mitchell's Pokemon. After an exchange of blows, things get really interesting when Mitchell has his Pokemon shoot attacks straight up into the air. They're not directed at their opponents, but rather Mitchell's mixing bowl, and much like Liko, I have no idea what's going on. Murdoch is all for this though, and has Alcremie do the same, while Liko gives us maybe the funniest facial expression she has this entire series. So yeah, this epic battle between rivals has devolved into, well, another epic battle between rivals, as both Mitchell and Murdoch keep up the same intensity of the Pokemon battle, but now their focus is on baking, and that is just fine with the hungry customers at the Battle Cafe. Liko watches on as the two of them go at it, and in a weird way this is actually great, because it's causing the two of them to bake together once again after so long. Liko has Sprigatito put on the finishing touches by using leafage to top the desserts, and yeah, they look pretty good. With Murdoch and Mitchell both worn out after so much passionate baking, the reviews are in and everyone loves their sweets. Even Alcremie is overjoyed with how things turned out. Liko points out how Alcremie clearly wanted to make sweets with the two of them again, and Alcremie offers some of its cream to Murdoch, who accepts the gift before apologizing to Mitchell. He says nothing before walking back inside the cafe. He quickly returns though with some of his special matcha cake in hand. Mitchell asks Alcremie to put on the finishing touch, and she happily places some cream on top of the cake. Mitchell can't hold it in any longer. He breaks down and tearfully apologizes to Murdoch and Alcremie, asking if they can drop their beef and be friends again. The two of them share an emotional embrace, and yeah, that's right, Liko, grown-ups can cry too. I mean, I probably haven't cried in like over a decade, but that's probably something I should see a therapist about. Now that everyone has all made up and we're all friends again, look who just so happened to show up during all the commotion. That's right, it's Kabu, the Motostoke gym leader, and I thought this was easily the weakest of Pokemon Horizons cliffhanger transitions that they like to do at the end of episodes, but hey, that's what we got this week, a very random way to bring things to a close. Well, if it wasn't already obvious enough, I really enjoy this episode. There were a lot of things that appealed especially to me. Honestly, I'm probably the only person who is going to remember Murdoch's backstory more fondly than Freed's backstory because of how many funny ideas came to my mind when watching this episode. I knew I was going to get creative with this review. Despite that, I try to rate these episodes objectively, which is obviously impossible given how we are all biased towards basically everything in this world in some way. But even though I had more fun with this episode than the last one, I'm still giving this episode a 6.5 out of 10 rating. Yeah, I think inarguably this was one of Horizon's least notable episodes so far, and it was definitely going for more of a comedic tone than a lot of the dramatic storytelling we have gotten so far. It seemed a bit odd to me that we literally had two backstory-focused episodes one after another, and even though my heart melts at the sight of Murdoch's adorable Alcremie, I would be lying if I said this episode was better than Freed and Captain Pikachu's backstory. That was way more compelling. It didn't help that Mitchell is just some random guy we've never heard of before. It made Murdoch's story less meaningful. In fact, I thought thought Mitchell was the first character of the day in Horizons, but then I remembered this guy existed, so I guess he gets the title of the first character of the day in a series that primarily focuses on having a big recurring cast of characters. With that said, Mitchell might turn out to not be a character of the day after all. It's just my assumption that he probably won't appear again, at least not in any significant way. But whatever happened to the cotton candy? Wasn't that the whole point of them going to Mitchell's cafe in the first place? Yeah, Dot won't be too happy if they completely blew up her request. We'll see if they do ever get that cotton candy, but it looks like the next episode is going to take place at the Motostoke gym instead of the Battle Cafe. Kabu's very regimented and disciplined nature should lead to some good training for Liko and Roy, and since this episode reminded me that Kabu is from Hoenn, I guess it's more fitting than I initially thought for him to be the next link in the story regarding Rayquaza. Let me know what you think is going to happen next week, as well as your thoughts about this episode. Be sure to like this video and hit subscribe if you haven't already. I sure got a lot of subs last week after promising to perform the Rising Volt Tacklers rap once I hit 10,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.